The Iron Leviathan. The Invention of the Submarine Ship. Chapter 4. Trials in the Deep. Episode 1. A Surface Divided. The return of Finch's echo stunned the world. Naval officials, scientists, and even members of President Lincoln's war cabinet gathered in secret to examine the vessel. The harmonic orb Margaret sent was placed in a brass vault at the Library of Congress, too advanced to understand, too powerful to ignore. And yet, within days, the debate began. Half the War Department saw the Leviathan legacy as salvation, a chance to end the war with knowledge and precision. The other half saw it as a weapon, a ghost ship that could strike unseen, dismantle fleets, and drown enemies without warning. General Luther Bragg, a veteran from the Mexican War turned hawkish senator, addressed Congress. "We should not treat this thing as sacred. We should use it, harness it, rip the mind from the machine if we must. This is war, not philosophy." Graves objected. But he was overruled. A secret division was created, the Abyssal Project, tasked with weaponizing Leviathan tech. And Red was detained. For debriefing. Episode 2. The Cell Beneath Norfolk. They didn't call it prison. They called it quarantine. Red Keegan sat alone in a stone room lined with copper wires and iron bars, designed not to hold a man, but to prevent resonance. He could hear the ocean in his bones, feel the hum of the trench even from miles inland. And then came the visitor. A woman in a charcoal dress, skin pale as parchment, eyes black as ink. She called herself Dr. Ginevra Moore. She was head of the Abyssal Project. "You spoke to her," she said. "To Margaret Finch." Red said nothing. "You brought back the orb." He still said nothing. She leaned in. "You will speak. The sea may listen, but it also remembers. And if you've been changed by it, well, we'll need to know how deep the infection goes." He smiled. And whispered, "Deeper than you're ready to go." Episode 3. The Shattered Choir. Meanwhile, Volensky, Jonas, and Peter returned to the cradle and found it stripped. Crates of tools, designs, and even Finch's spine taken by government agents. The harmonic chamber had been dismantled. But they still had one thing the Navy didn't. Memory. Volensky had copied every pulse pattern from Finch's spine. She hadn't translated them all yet, but she noticed something terrifying. A pattern repeating through the last pulses. An emergency signal. 3 tones. A deep distortion. A word repeated over and over. Hunger. Not from Margaret. Not from Elias. From something else. Episode 4. Thorne's Return. In the depths of the Atlantic, Admiral Caleb Thorne had not vanished. He had gone deeper. His final vessel, the Widow's Lantern, had been seen descending into an abyss off the Bermuda Rise, where no light touched, and where cartographers wrote only one word: "Here be wraiths." There, he found it. The other trench. Not the one Margaret's Leviathan had spoken to, but its twin. Hostile. Starved. Forgotten. Where the trench Margaret found sought peace, this one desired something simpler. Dominance. And Thorne, war-mad, vision twisted, offered it what it craved. He promised it war. Episode 5. The Escape. Red's escape didn't come by violence. It came by resonance. Finch's spine, dismantled, but not silenced, still pulsed from the sea. Red could feel it in his teeth, his ribs, his heart. At night, he tapped messages into the iron bedframe using old codes Elias had taught him. And someone, heard. The cell walls groaned. Bolts snapped in silence. And one night, the door simply opened. No alarms. No guards. Only a single note humming in the air, a harmonic signal that blurred the vision and calmed the blood. Outside waited a figure cloaked in oilskin and shadow. Jonas. He grinned. "Heard you were homesick." Episode 6. The Abyssal Leviathan. While Red fled, Dr. Ginevra more pressed forward. From stolen fragments of Margaret's Leviathan and Thorne's Confederate prototypes, the Abyssal Project had forged a monstrous creation, the Abyssal Leviathan. It was twice the size of Finch's Echo. It had no windows, no crew. It was piloted by resonance commands translated into raw action. No interpretation, only obedience. Where Elias sought communion, more sought control. Where Margaret offered language, more offered weapons. The Abyssal Leviathan was launched without ceremony, silently diving into the same trench that had once held Finch's hope. But this time, it didn't seek harmony. It sought submission. And in the trench, something answered. Episode 7. The Hunger Awakens. Wolinski's translations confirmed it. The second trench, the one where Thorne had vanished, held not a mind, but a will. A thing that consumed resonance, not to understand, but to absorb. It had no name, only a function. The hunger. And now, with the Abyssal Leviathan as its vessel, it rose. Its signal swept through coastal waters, disrupting tides, twisting whale migrations, and silencing sonar. It began converting sound into void. And as it moved, other things woke. Dead ships. Rotting sea creatures. Ghost submersibles from Thorne's ash-grey admiralty. An army of silence. Episode 8. Return to the Cradle. Red, reunited with Wolinski, Jonas, and Peter, returned to the Cradle under nightfall. What remained of Elias's original workshop had been torn apart, but beneath it, within a vault Elias had sealed before his first dive, was one final design. A third Leviathan. Not built for stealth. Not for speed. But for resonance. A vessel designed to amplify the harmonics of the sea. To speak, not to dominate, but to warn. Margaret's Leviathan was gone. But her voice remained. And Red intended to carry it. Episode 9. The Leviathan of Light. It was forged from scraps, salvage, and one final crystal orb. Margaret's last recorded message, encoded in layered harmonic chords. Peace is not silence. It is song without fear. They named it Leviathan of Light. Smaller, sharper, its hull shaped to vibrate at frequencies that could repel the hunger. Red would pilot it. Wolinski would interpret its responses in real time. They had no fleet. No orders. Only the memory of two dreamers, Elias and Margaret, and the faith that one vessel, properly tuned, could sing loud enough to stop a war. Episode 10. Into the Abyss once more. On the final night of spring, Leviathan of Light descended into the trench, following the same path as the Abyssal Leviathan. Red held fast at the controls, eyes fixed on the sonar as shapes began to form. The Abyssal fleet, lifeless ships turned war hulks. The second trench, yawning open like a wound. The Abyssal Leviathan, floating dead still at the center, its core pulsing with stolen harmony. And then, the hunger spoke. A wave of distortion. Memories turned inside out. Red saw Elias drown, not in water, but in noise. He saw Margaret sing to silence. And he knew what must be done. Episode 11. The Trial. They activated the Leviathan of Light. It began to hum, not as a machine, but as a voice. Wolinski tuned it, drawing from Margaret's last message, from Elias's frequencies, from Red's heartbeat itself. The signal surged outward. The trench recoiled. The Abyssal Leviathan screamed, not in metal, but in pain. One by one, the ghost ships cracked, then shattered. The hunger, disoriented by resonance it could not consume, faltered. And Red, eyes wide with tears, sent the final chord. A lullaby. The one Elias used to hum in his shop. It echoed through the abyss like a bell. Episode 12. Silence and Sunrise. At dawn, Leviathan of Light surfaced. The ocean was still. The ghost fleet was gone. The trench sealed itself, not in destruction, but in rest. Red sat alone in the vessel, eyes closed. Above, the sun rose. For the first time in years, the waves carried no sound of war. Only breath. Chapter 4 ends. The Leviathan had passed its greatest trial. But peace is never permanent. And something ancient still waits in the silence beyond song.